What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Wars in the Stars, episode number 104. Today, we are going to be talking about a certain show. Certain show. What's the show called? Ahsoka. Ahsoka.
Peak.
Peak.
It's called Peak. That's
Today, we're
what
gonna
this
be talking
is.
about Ahsoka, episode number 4. But before we get into that, Alex, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. I was just playing Phasmophobia as Drew sent me the link to get in here. Um, but yeah, uh, yesterday, man, I wish we would have watched the episode together.
I wish so too, man. Yeah, I've just been so busy with a lot of things. Obviously, I'm in school now, and I'm just kind of busy with life and stuff. I mean, as we all are, but
Exactly.
I, um, so it just kind of hasn't coincided. I think next week we for sure have to.
Have
I
to,
think
bro.
we think for sure next week we have to. Um, yeah, man, it's been good. Been busy, doing well, obviously, but I just want to jump right in. Can I go first? I want to go
Yes,
first.
absolutely, absolutely.
I'll just describe. So we're watching The Boys as a suite together, as me and my roommates and friends. So I kind of watched this in between, like The Boys. I had just watched. Mind you, I have not watched all of The Boys. I've just watched bits and pieces of The Boys. I kind of
So
know
good.
the gist of the show, but I hadn't watched it all the way through. We're about like 4 episodes into season 1, and I absolutely love it. And I think it's a show we'll probably talk about. Maybe we should discuss it.
Just wait till season 3. Oh my
I know.
god.
Um, so and I wanted. Can we start with the end of the episode? Because I feel like that's what we kind of have to start with.
Hey
Um,
Snips.
so like I didn't have like a very visceral reaction to it because I was kind of like trying to get ready to do another thing, and like I just had like a moment where like I'm like, okay, and I really wish I had just stayed in the moment because it should have been as impactful as like the Luke thing. I mean, it was very impactful, but I definitely this morning when I saw it, like I bawled my eyes out again. I'm like, wow,
Mm,
wow,
dude, I'm not even gonna lie. I cried more hearing him talk than when I saw Luke appear.
really,
I
dude.
was, dude, I was like, oh my god, it's actually, it's actually happening. We all
I think
knew, like we all knew it was happening, but
right
but Drew, we saw it.
to visually see it is just so amazing. I'm watching it again, and it's just so well executed. I mean, hello, Snips. Um, and then he goes on to, I believe he says something along the lines that I didn't think I'd see you so soon, or something like that.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
about to
yeah.
say the line, "Yeah, I didn't expect to see you so soon." And then she turns and sees him, and it's just so. It's what's so fascinating about it is it's like it's a slight. It looks so much like season 7, like Anakin, or season
Yes,
6, like
yeah,
just with like it doesn't feel like quite Revenge of the Sith Anakin. It feels it's got
yeah.
the hue and the aura of Clone Wars Anakin, which is so special, and it looks
Mhm.
good. Like
Oh
it
yeah,
actually really looked good. I just want to say the World Between Worlds in live action is crazy looking. It looks so
I
good.
know. Oh my god, dude. I literally was like, "Oh, where's Ahsoka at?" Like when they were doing the pan over into the ocean,
Yes,
I was
yes.
like, "What if they just show her in the world between worlds right now?" And then it cut to her in the world between worlds. I literally, bro, I like screamed. I was like, "The world between worlds already?" And
Dude,
then, what do you know? We get the scene. Ah,
so good, just so powerful. And we hear the Vader theme at the end.
yeah. Which I think, like, to just jump into a theory already. I
Then we
think I'm
time.
with the majority of people. I think that this is going to be an Anakin that is post fall but pre Obi-Wan fight. Probably like what we see him on Mustafar when he's killing the Separatists. And it's going to be a dark version of Anakin that she'll have to fight.
So, Okay, I have like a few questions about this. Okay, A, how is he here?
Mm,
Again, is this a type of thing where like this was always Ahsoka's destiny? This was always meant to happen? Because again, there's obviously the strong connection with Mortis in the world between worlds, right?
yep,
Um, what if we obviously know Ahsoka's the embodiment of the daughter?
yep.
What if this is somehow the son? I know the son's technically dead, but is
I
he
mean,
really?
yeah, but like, who knows?
What if this is the son kind of controlling Anakin and there's just this in the background kind of this weird thing with Mortis going on? But I don't think that's what it is. I think it's so interesting as to why people say that though with
Yeah.
I
So
just
I,
I'm really confused as to how why there's an Anakin here right now. I just that's the one thing I want to
yeah. We do know that Force ghosts and all that are able to interact with this.
Okay.
For those who
Correct.
don't know, the actual term for what the world between worlds is called, it's called the Vergent Scatter, and we know
Mhm.
Force ghosts are able to interact with it. We don't know if they're able to manifest as a physical form or as a ghost or whatever, but all we know is that we're not seeing sketchy stuff right now, but there's a bit of sketch of how we're seeing a physical Anakin Skywalker.
Correct. I just and I can go into my theories to what I think is going to happen.
Sure,
They've
yeah.
already like they're heavily marketing episode 5. It's going to be shown in theaters and they
Being in
literally released
theaters,
a poster that showed Anakin
they
which
literally released a YouTube short about how Anakin will be predominantly in episode 5.
um I didn't see that. They said that?
They literally said Anakin Skywalker will be featured in episode 5 of Ahsoka.
They're releasing a Master and Apprentice thing on Friday, I think.
Yeah,
Like they're
yeah,
going
yeah.
all out. They know, like they must know that Dave
Mm.
cooked. Like
And guess
literally
what? And the time of the episode just got revealed. I think it
it's
was, I
49
think,
minutes.
yeah, it's 49 minutes long. So
Like 43 minutes of
I've
content.
saw I seen this video on TikTok, and it is so true. It is the this guy being like Dave Filoni when he's about to start writing the episode, and as soon as the pen hits the paper, just the entire room turns into fire. Because my
Yes.
man's was cooking during this episode. Not even let's like separate this stuff, like the world between worlds stuff with Anakin and all that. This episode was still like an elite level episode without it.
Dude, I think as I'm watching, I'm like, dude, this is like, I'm like, it's not my. I'll say this, it's not my necessarily forte, but
Yeah.
like for a 4-story arc, like a halfway point,
Hmm.
like I like episode 1 and 2. Episode 3, I think for a quote unquote filler, it's not really a filler episode, but for like a small standalone thing that still progresses the plot,
Yeah.
it's still great. This I know people love Andor. This is the best written Star Wars show. Like I don't even think it's close.
Oh no, I think this episode cemented it. I think what this series has done is this just it feels like a return to form.
Right.
Like this feels like we are back in the swing of Star Wars again.
Right.
And it's not to say like Andor was so wildly different that it felt not Star Wars. It was just a new take on Star Wars. It
Right.
was the darker take. I think what the Mandoverse and what Andor and what I'll call the anthology series like Andor and Kenobi have done is they have shown that mature Star Wars and Star Wars for the diehards just mesh so well with each other. I think Andor was the show for adults. They're like Disney's like we gave you like Clone Wars and Rebels and Resistance and Tales of the Jedi and all that for the kids, and then we gave the adults Andor. It's dark. It's a real. It's the personification of what life is like through Star Wars. It's a dark,
Yeah.
gritty, all that. Kenobi
Right.
is another thing where it's like it's a series for I wouldn't say adults, but I'd say probably people in our age bracket of like, hey,
Mhm,
sometimes you got to face those inner demons head
mhm,
on sometimes.
mhm.
And I think what Ahsoka is I think it's like a love letter to the animation fans.
I agree
I
with that. And
yeah, I think that is one of Disney's best successes that they've had with these Disney Plus Star Wars shows. Is their target audience is so obvious and so nailed in
mhm,
that you can just feel it in any series. Like when Andor season 2 comes out, I know I'm gonna have to flip the switch and be like, okay, this is not for the animated fan in me. It's gonna be for the adult fan in me.
right. Okay.
And I love that I was able to flip the switch and be like, this isn't a dark, gritty show about war and politics. This is going to
Mhm,
be a love letter to two of my favorite shows of all time.
mhm. I feel like with me, I think this is just like I don't know. I mean, we've said it a lot, and we said it last week and 2 weeks ago when we did episodes 1 and 2. This just feels like Star Wars again. As much as I love Andor,
Yeah.
if it's not a Star Wars show, it's like okay, it's a good show, but Star Wars to me, it has the blend of the mystical, the
Mm-hmm.
fantastical, with the blends of samurai sword fighting. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like it's something that's even missing in the shows. It's just good, simple lightsaber combat. And this show, and
Mm-hmm.
specifically this episode, the lightsaber combat was
So good.
fantastic. I
I
just
think,
love.
yeah.
I,
Go ahead.
I, I I just
There you
love
go. You
that
go. You go.
Dave is able. It's so obvious how much he takes inspiration from Carousel, and samurai
Mm-hmm.
films, like just the movements and stuff. It's not, we've discussed it. Everybody loves the prequel fights because they're just fast paced, like just bang,
Yeah.
bang. I love how this invokes the feeling of like the original trilogy, like a
Mm-hmm.
chess match almost. As much as like the Vader and Obi-Wan fight in A New Hope is like not a good lightsaber fight because it's just basic, it still
Mm-hmm.
has a lot of those good qualities that like this has. And I
Yeah.
just it looked good. Um, yeah, it's just I thought it was fantastic and really well done with
Mm-hmm.
just the choreography, and I think it was a step up. Definitely, I think I can't believe this is the halfway point. Like, what else
I
do you have?
know. Yeah.
You haven't even touched Thrawn. You haven't even touched Ezra. Um, it's just the light. It was just fantastic. I just think,
Mm-hmm.
and again, it just again cements to me like I would take less Star Wars if it meant I got more Dave. I just think he knows it, just gets it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think what's a big step up of the recent Star Wars is just how good the quality of the lightsaber fights have been.
Mhm.
Kenobi's were all good. Um,
I disagree with that.
which one wasn't good?
Um, I don't like their first fight at all.
Vader and Kenobi?
Yeah.
I mean, well, was it even a fight?
I mean, sure, but I
Can
mean,
you
I'm just
even?
saying, like,
I'm
I don't
talking.
know. It's just,
I'm talking about like those fights where like you know it's an actual fight and it's not somebody trying to run away the
oh
entire
yeah,
time.
the final fight's great. No, no, I'm not denying that.
But even then,
I'm
like
just,
the final fight, Gideon versus Mando in season 2 of Mando, um, all of the duels in Ahsoka. There has not been one bad duel. Even the Shin versus Sabine first duel was good.
hmm
Just this series is, or these like series have been getting so good with the lightsaber combat.
yeah. No, I don't. I mean, I don't disagree at all.
Like I think one of my favorite parts of the Balin and Ahsoka duel was literally just, oh my god, I don't know if you felt it, how twin sons it felt. Like just like how they're just like they're it's just essentially Balin and Ahsoka kind of raising the saber, seeing like what's it,
Calculating.
yeah, kind of seeing like what are you gonna do? And then they do a few strikes, they change stances, they're like, let's go again. You go first.
I love. Okay. I do want to touch on this first, though, before we get into more of that, because it's kind of later in the episode. So I sent you a pretty cryptic text this week. Because everybody was talking about Merrick. I
Who?
texted you. I
Who? I
texted
don't
you.
know who Merrick is.
Texted you Merrick because there was a bunch of theories about who Merrick was. Was he Star Killer? Was he Ezra?
Cal, yeah, Ezra.
I texted you. I said Merrick equals 3 clouds. What did you think?
I don't know. I thought you were literally saying he's gas. He's cool.
Okay. And then did you right when you saw it, did you understand what I meant?
Yeah, I was like, oh, he meant he's actual smoke.
He was quite literally smoke.
I was like,
Do we have thoughts?
oh.
If I had to have anything negative, it would be that. But I don't even think that's
Mhm.
terrible.
I actually really liked it because I think it'd be an interesting story if they went with like, oh no, like Merrick was actually dead, and then Morgan Elsbeth like revived him
That's what I think happened.
with Night Sister magic.
Right.
That's in my opinion, I think a cooler story than anything.
Right. Unless it was like, but again, like Star Killer, like how would that even if you did Merrick as Star Killer, it literally makes no sense at all because like
Mhm.
Star Killer has to be if you're gonna do him, he has to be powerful, right? Because
Exactly,
then
yeah.
it's just like everybody would be like, oh, he's not that good.
Mhm.
And then if he's Ezra, it just makes no sense at all.
Exactly, yeah.
Cal, sure, but like, okay, like, lol, like, why? Um,
Mhm.
yeah, from a story standpoint, I actually do really like it. It's just, it's a lot of people had theories about it, and people get butthurt when their theories aren't right. But
Yeah.
I wasn't opposed to it um, at all, and I thought that was actually a really good like saber fight. That more so invoked the twin sons feeling to
Oh
me,
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
right? You know, how like in Twin Sons, Maul tries to do the same move, and Obi-Wan knows it. Um, yeah, and then to go back to Balin, is such a captivating villain to me. I wouldn't even call him a villain, an anti-hero,
I don't even know.
anti-villain.
He he's so weird because he doesn't invoke like the dark side in like the way that we traditionally think. He uses it, but he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want technically bad things. Like you can see he doesn't want to fight Ahsoka.
No,
Like, but then he like even says he's disappointed. But again, he's more than willing to use it if he has to use it.
correct.
Um, which I think is starting to serve a little bit more of a narrative for people of Gray Jedi and whatnot.
I don't
But
even know. I
yeah,
don't even think I call it necessarily gray Jedi. We've seen this before. I mean, we've seen this
yeah. I
before.
mean, we see it. Like Ahsoka even uses the dark side in the episode.
Right.
I think there's a difference though between the two. With Ahsoka, she gives in to the dark side, but she doesn't always let it overpower her. This is like
We
the
also
first time we've ever seen her use the dark side too.
we also like can't. I think when we're so binary when it comes to force powers, right? Because we're describing it as dark side and light side powers. We shouldn't
Yeah,
look at it like that. They're just powers that you can use. Now, uh, we can obviously have the correlation that more dark side users use it, and you have to tap into more of your anger and stuff like that.
yeah,
But I understand that. But to me, what's so captivating about Balin is the fact, obviously, that he's not like a straight up villain, right? I'm gonna use Homelander as an example in The Boys. That guy is a dick. Like it's all like self interest.
mhm,
Um, he cares about his name, his image, um, and he's willing to do some really fucked up things, right? The plane, obviously, right? He lets those people die to serve an ulterior motive to have superheroes in the military.
yeah,
Very fucked up thing to do. Like terrible gaslighting, like just bad, right? Balin obviously knows Thrawn's not a good person. He literally, quite literally says Thrawn will start another war. But
mhm,
Balin is so captivated. And again, I don't know what he's by the greater good he keeps talking about. I don't know what he's referring to.
mhm,
Um, but he's so captivated by these new ideals that this new galaxy obviously has, or maybe old ideals that he learned about that he wants to learn. Um, but Thrawn is a means to an end to him.
yeah,
Um, he doesn't necessarily care if people get killed. per se, which makes him villainous, but he still has some appreciation for the Order when he refers to Anakin and fights Ahsoka. Um, and I think Ray Stevenson, rest in peace, turns in like a fantastic performance and is such an interesting character to me. And anytime he's not in a lot of stuff,
Mhm.
he was more heavily featured in this episode. But anytime he's on screen, I'm like, yeah, he's very interesting and compelling.
Yeah. Also, what I loved about him so much was when he did the little thing before the Ahsoka duel where he put his hood back up.
Hmm.
He had to be super ominous. He had to be the super bad guy. That must have been cool for Ray Stevenson because that's just cool to do. Cool to remove your hood to
Yeah.
feel like the big guy. But like, I don't know, man. Balin is such an interesting character to me. I feel like I still want more of his past.
Hmm.
I still feel like I'm missing
Because he's wicked
something with him.
powerful.
He feels really like powerful. Like, let's not forget, Ahsoka has arguably bested some of the best lightsaber duelists of all time.
Some of the most powerful Force users of all time,
Yes,
Maul,
Maul,
Vader.
Vader, yeah. She arguably held her own, even though it wasn't in ideal circumstances against Palpatine in the World Between Worlds.
Yes.
Um, and again, in terms of duelists that she's beaten General Grievous, she's beaten Maul, she's beaten Inquisitors, she's beaten like so many people. Again, arguably, she beat Darth Vader.
Right.
Um, but Balin on this was just whooping ass. Now, granted,
Yes.
yes, she was technically hurt during the fight.
Injured. Yes.
She did burn her hand.
Uh-huh.
Um, but still, I mean, regardless, um, Balin still just felt like really overpowering. Um, it just felt like he was more prone to instead of like use the lightsaber as a sword to baseball bat with it, just swing really
Mm,
hard at Ahsoka, which
right.
I think kind of goes into the thing of like, listen, lightsabers are not these elegant swords during this time period, and honestly, onward, they kind of are more baseball bat like.
Hmm. Right.
That's at least how like I'm seeing it from like unless you're like Luke or Ahsoka, like you're not really an elegant
And
fighter.
that goes back to like the tradition of the Jedi Order, how it was more of a
Yeah,
sword fighting thing. This is more like, oh, they're pretty rough in their training, so they use it more like a physical baseball bat. We also know that lightsabers are heavy, uh, and you have to be in tune with it to use it. Um, that's why non-force users struggle with it. We look at the dark saber,
yeah.
and stuff like that. Um, so what do you think he wants though? What is it that he talks about this greater good? What is it he is obsessed with?
I have no clue. Because the series hasn't been really cluing us in as to what the end game is.
Hmm. Which is good.
Uh, yeah, and so it's kind of hard because again he keeps going on and on and on and on and on about how it's the ends justify the means. It's what he has to do to secure a better tomorrow.
Hmm.
All of this stuff, and again we don't know what does he mean by that. What does he mean a better tomorrow? What about today is bad? um, so
The
that's kind of
empire's
like,
gone. Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of like where I'm kind of sitting where I don't know what he's talking about. And I think that's a good thing. Um I think what we need for Balin right now is we need some past info on him and shit.
Hmm.
Because again, for me right now, it just kind of feels like Shin and Balin are just kind of badass force users who are just kind of here.
Correct.
They're not really here to be these deep characters who everybody is so hardly invested in. Because I personally don't feel that with Balin and Shin. I just kind of feel like they're cool Force users who are here to play good foil to Ahsoka and Sabine.
Mhm.
Which Don't even get me started on Sabine.
We'll
I
get into
feel like,
that.
yeah.
Do we
Well,
want to get into that?
do you have anything else to add on Balin or Shin?
Um, well, we could talk a little bit about Sabine and Shin after, I guess, and their fight as well. But to me, Balin, I don't know. I'm glad there's this ominous thing about the new galaxy.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm just, again, we kind of know that the Night Sisters are out there, but what else is out there with the Force that he knows? What is it he's trying to reintroduce to the galaxy? Is it magic? Is it
Yeah.
this whole idea of magic being reintroduced? Because to me, with the Clone Wars, I don't know if you felt like this, but to me, it always felt like that magic was older than the Force. And I'm really curious if I go back and watch those featurettes, those Clone Wars featurettes that talk about that type of stuff, the Night Sisters and Dathomir. I'm really curious if they say that.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean I just that's the way I feel about Balin. I don't know how he's gonna play with Thrawn. Like, how does that even work? I really think what's gonna happen is Thrawn's just gonna manipulate them,
Mhm. Yeah.
which would
Yeah.
make so much sense for his character.
Yeah. It's again. I don't. I just realized my mic is not plugged in. You've been hearing webcam mic. You. I don't know. I think what's weird is that like we just we don't know enough. We're
You might
being
have to connect it on StreamYard too. I don't know if it
what
still
happened?
sounds. You might have to connect, like, make sure you're using your right mic on StreamYard too,
It says I am.
because you still
Typically,
sound like really echoey.
hold on. Because hold on. Hold on. Let me leave this real quick and let me see if it'll reconnect it. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, Alex is back. Let's get him back in here.
Okay, that
Okay.
hopefully fixed it.
Yeah, that sounds a little better. Yeah,
Okay, not as echoey.
not as echoey.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm gonna say I literally realized I was checking my mic in my computer settings and I was getting no feedback from my mic. It wasn't plugged in.
Damn.
Where were we?
Are we going to go into Sabine? Because you had some thoughts on Sabine.
Mm,
You're upset with her.
Sabine. No, I think she's got a plan. I think she's
Okay.
got a plan. I think she. I don't know what her plan is going to be, but I think she's got one. I think. I think I trust her enough to know that she's done. That she has something. You know, hey. To be fair, we've seen her do stuff similar in Rebels,
Okay.
so there's every possibility that she's got some spiffy being planned. I don't know what her plan is. I'm curious what you thought about her actually giving the map back and then going with Balin and Shin.
It made, like, very obviously Balin was being very manipulative. Jesus Christ. Um, but long day. Uh, it makes sense. Like, Ahsoka presumably is dead.
Yeah.
Um, they are quite literally going. The only people go into the place where Ezra is. Um, if she can locate Thrawn, there's a good chance she can locate Ezra. If she can locate Ezra, now she has a Jedi that can help still. So it makes logical sense to me, right? Um, again, is it a really bad predicament? Yes. But also at the same time, what other option did she have? If she says no, it's a possibility she gets killed right there because she's not being a Balin and Shin.
Right. Yeah.
Ahsoka's dead. So to me, she made logically the right choice. Technically, it's a tough decision, but she made the right choice. In my point of view, um, it was so cool to see her in her Mandalorian armor,
Mhm.
fighting. Her
Yes, and
lightsaber.
that duel with Shin was so good.
It was very well done. Um, Also, I'm watching now her mannerisms, so much like Sabine and um,
Mhm.
Rebels. Just both of them, Rosario Dawson and what's her name that plays Sabine? Natasha Liu.
Yeah,
Yes, there we go. Uh, their mannerisms were perfect, and I love the scene where Sabine like fake uses the Force and then shoots
yes,
out.
that was such a good scene. I like that Shin like instinctively got prepared to take a hit, and then I
Yeah,
love that she was like, "Ooh, trap card pitch."
yeah. Um, I thought it was a really good fight. Not as good as the. Okay, do we want to rank them? Let's rank the fights.
Of this episode.
Yes.
Oh
Oh
God.
my God, there were three. Jeez.
Yeah. Okay. I'll say the worst one was Merrick versus Ahsoka.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like it
Okay.
just wasn't really much of a fight.
Okay, that's fair.
And then Sabine versus Shin, and then Balin versus Ahsoka.
I was gonna go Sabine Shin last.
Really?
Merrick Ahsoka. Just because I think it's like so cool.
Yeah.
Um, and then Ahsoka Balin, obviously. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it just visually looks fantastic. I watch it. I like to watch it here in the or the background as they talk about it. But yeah, it looked fantastic. Okay, so the star map's now destroyed. Oh, this is what I want to touch on. What Dave's done such good job in the show is like taking concepts or things that we have seen and amplifying them or making them new and different. Um, Obviously, one example is obviously quite literally a new galaxy. Sabine like fake using the force and then her wrist launch, just little subtleties like that. I appreciate. Merrick being made of smoke, like just weird new creative things that fit in Star Wars. Because they're weird, fantastical, and they suspend our disbelief. The hyperspace jump is
That was a cool
so
scene.
is so well done. Like we initially, we get the light blue hue that's around, and then it just goes white because of how fast they're going. And I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, what, how is this gonna look? They're literally going to another galaxy, and it was so cool to see. Um, and then how it messed up all the ships and all the ships exploded. I thought it was just fantastic. I want to hear your thoughts on that scene because I think it's really underrated.
Dude, it was actually so cool to see how you were like, oh no, what's gonna happen? She said to jump anyway. And then to see just like again, just the magnitude of what is it like 6 hyperdrives happening
Yeah,
at one time
correct.
was crazy. It left this big blue like rift through space.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool. I have a question for you about that now. Do you
Okay.
think we're gonna see Thrawn next episode?
I mean, we'll get more on that when we talk about, because I think we got to like quite literally preview episode 5, which feels like a movie. But
Mm,
yes,
okay, okay.
yes.
I feel like
Um,
we will also, but I don't know. It feels like episode 5 is gonna be entirely in the world between worlds. I don't
because
know.
Ahsoka's gonna get there.
Yeah, and I feel like oh, excuse me. I feel like that's how it's going to be explained with like how Ahsoka's going to get there. Is she's going to because in the way that I see the story going now is that in episode 5, Ahsoka will reach the other galaxy via the world between worlds.
Because she was always meant to be there.
Yes, because she's always meant to get there. Then I think Sabine gets there with the Eye of Sion and that crew,
Yeah.
and then she'll like signal to Hera where she is, and then Hera can make coordinates to get there.
Okay.
Because if you remember, if you watch Star Wars Rebels, Hera knows how to navigate through bad space conditions, so
Also, Pergil.
Virgil will also aid them there.
Pergil.
And then I think we will see Thrawn. I think we'll see Thrawn as a stinger closer for episode 5
Ooh.
to tease us for episode 6. Because I think that's been something that the show has done really good. Is the endings of every episode have been really, really good. Good hooks,
I agree.
good ending hooks,
Yes.
because it makes you excited for next week. Like, I'm not trying to be dramatic when I say I have genuinely been excited for every single episode.
Yeah, I've been very excited.
Which, like, I mean, I don't think I've been like that since like Mando season
Mando.
2.
Mando too.
Like, I was excited for Kenobi, but I wasn't crawling out of my seats excited. I was excited for Andor, but again, I wasn't jumping out of my seat.
Definitely not jumping on my seat for Andor. Definitely
I
not the
wasn't.
Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, or Mando season 3,
The Book of Boba
anything.
Fett, I was literally staying in my seat.
Yeah. That one actually was putting me further in. I was slumping even lower than what I typically am. Which, listen, I think that's honestly a good way for the show. I have not slumped a single time in this episode, dog.
No, I've been thoroughly engaged this whole time.
Yeah,
You know,
just this series, man. This is, in my opinion, the best series. I'll put that out there right now. I think it is the best return to form that we've ever seen Star Wars go through. I think even more than what The Mandalorian was. I think this is such a return to form for Star Wars that honestly, I do worry for something like The Acolyte. Because I feel like it could be so different from now what we're used to with Star Wars. Different in a good way, but different that I feel like people aren't going to like it.
I agree.
Which kind of scares me because I think The Acolyte has, in my opinion, the best chance of being the best show.
That's totally fair. I'm not going to say it's the best show yet. Not yet. I'm going to say Mando 2 still. I think Andor's good, man. It's just I think it's right there with Andor. If episode 5 is as good as I'm hearing it is, it might be. I will say this. I think it's got the potential to be the best Star Wars thing if it finishes off like the way it is.
Yeah.
It could be the best Star Wars thing. Like, that's crazy that I'm even saying that.
Dude, I mean, it's literally, oh my god, dude. There's so much possibility for so much of this, man. Because I genuinely, I don't know. Because for it to be the best Star Wars project, I mean, in my opinion, the best Star Wars project still is The Empire Strikes Back.
Correct. One of the best movies of all time.
Yes. And I think the fact that we are getting to the point where it's becoming so close to actually beating it out for me is kind of crazy.
I'm not saying I'm personally I'm not saying it's close. It needs to finish with like 4 9s out of 10s or like in a row.
Even then, the first half of the series has been elite all the way around. I would currently rank the first half of season 1 or this series a 10 out of 10.
I can't say a 10. I'd say
it has done nothing egregious to the point where I'm just like, it kind of took me out for a second. As a cohesive 4-episode narrative, it has been elite storytelling.
Now as I see it as an arc, yeah, the arc is fantastic. It's one of Dave's best arcs. Like if we're talking like 4-episode story points, it's up there with. It's better than Umbara. I mean, it's not as good as Clone Wars season 7, but it's maybe his second best arc he's ever written.
I don't know, man. I think with this, I think Dave is in this series has a tall task. I think, and I think what puts it above any arc in Clone Wars or Rebels for me is this task is so high versus those series. Those series with those arcs, to compare it to something like Umbara or Mortis or Twilight of the Apprentice or anything like that, is with those. There's the people watching that are hardcore fans or kids.
Uh-huh.
the task is much smaller there. For this series, you are having to bring up to speed new watchers, recap old veterans who haven't watched in say a long time, and please the old fans. And I think the
Correct.
series has done a perfect job of giving everybody the context that they need from Rebels and Clone Wars. I think because I'll give some insight onto this and why I think this. My manager at work, he he wanted to start watching Ahsoka, and he knows how much I love Star Wars. And he
Hmm.
said, "Do I have to like?" He was like, "I'm kind of like confused, but I kind of get what's going on." And I said, "Well, you got to watch the animated series. That's where you meet these characters. That's where you know them. This is them after their shows."
Okay. Yep.
And he was like, "Do I have to watch them?" I said, "No." I said, "If you continue watching, because he only got through the first episode when he started asking questions. I said, if you keep watching, they kind of elaborate enough where you get the gist of who they are."
Yep.
And then he said, "I mostly get it," because he finished and he said, "I enjoy these characters." He said, like, "Do you still recommend watching them?" I said, "Of course."
Correct.
And I was like, but the fact that you kind of already have picked up who these characters are, what they're about, what their story is, kind of goes to the telling of the genius of Dave in the show. He's done a masterful job of, you know, being able to blend together everything and even be able to bring in newcomers so they're not entirely confused.
What what George talked about this. He always liked to open his stories in the middle of something happening. A New Hope. Quite literally, there is a space battle, and it's the one of the most iconic shots in cinema is the
Yep.
Tantive 4 and the Star Destroyer flying over Tatooine.
Yeah, just literally think about how many times we've seen that recreated.
We have no context of what's happening there. They just drop us in, and then we hear the droids talk, and then we start to pick up. Look at this story. This story on a bigger scale is dropping us in with characters that some of the audience already knows, some of it doesn't. But there's so much newness to the show that you don't need to know these characters. Now, it's an added bonus. I'm sure when I watch this episode with my mom and dad, they're going to be confused as shit. They're like, how, what? Like, who is that? Like, they're going to know who it is, maybe, but they're going to be like, what's the relationship? They keep referring to it. And then me, I'm going to have to explain, well, there's a whole significance behind it. But I think as an audience, by episode 5, they'll pick up very quickly, the significance, the importance, not just to what I think will be a very monumental, probably the most monumental thing to the character of Anakin. I'm not talking about Vader, but to the character of Anakin since the Clone Wars, but also to Ahsoka's story. Um, I think it's just it's just super well done. It's just super well written. Dave has obviously had problems with writing before. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Um, but I think this is some of his best work, just from how the show looks visually, the way. I mean, you gotta remember, he's basically the showrunner. He's writing, he's the producer.
Yeah.
He's just done a fantastic job. I think out of all the shows that use the volume, besides, I'd say it's the best looking show that uses the volume. I think Mando 3 struggles with the volume at some points. I just think he gets it. The mythos, all of it. He's really good at this stuff. The Force, lightsabers. Like, he just gets that. He gets the basic premise of Star Wars, the mythos aspect of it, which is something that I just really appreciate. It just really invokes the feeling of being a child again watching it, more so than anything else. And you just enjoy it like you're a kid. It's just fantastical. But
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. I think this series has revived that feeling of Star Wars again.
yeah, at least for me individually, I don't know. Um, I did see some people like online, people were like, "Oh, it's a 10 out of 10 or whatever." People like, "Oh, only saying that because of the last 30 seconds or last minute and a half." I'm like, "No, this episode
No.
is This
This
episode
episode
is like
was
really good.
just so good, regardless. And I think the last few minutes were literally just an extra cherry on top, just
Yeah,
to, just to send the audience home even more happy.
just again, we've talked about the last 2 weeks. It feels like just live action Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yeah, it literally feels so seamless. I guarantee you, if somebody were to go out there and were to, let's say,
Anime.
animate some of these scenes in the Clone Wars or Rebels animation styles,
Uh-huh.
it would fit in seamlessly.
Yeah.
It would
Yeah.
be perfect. It would literally be not at all different. So this is not like it's only good because it's live action or anything, or because I got some fan service in my last 10 seconds.
Right.
No, I, Star Wars has shown what overly or what too much fan service can do to a show.
Correct.
I think, like, for instance, Mandalorian season 2, some of the best fan service we have, some of the best fan service imaginable. The Rise of Skywalker and The Force Awakens had a lot of fan service.
The Rise of Skywalker is the best example, I think,
Yeah.
of bad
So-
fan service.
So much fan service that was really bad.
Can you tell me what Lando did in that movie?
He was there. He was certainly a part of the cast. He was there. I remember him there.
Wedge.
I remember he shot something.
Wedge was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think now we've kind of talked about the episode. Let's, because I want to preview episode 5. So this is how I think it's going to go. I think most of the episode, I disagree with this notion that this Anakin is like post him turning like we saying like even him
Kenobi fight.
pre-Kenobi fight. So him on Mustafar chopping down the Separatists, basically.
Yep.
I don't see that. Because at that point, I mean, even at that point, he was so blinded by hatred for the Order that it wouldn't make sense for him to, because right when he sees Obi-Wan on Mustafar, he is pissed. He is fucking pissed. And then he goes into a spiel about how the Jedi Order is betrayed, and he's part of this new order. He's going to bring order to the galaxy. So even if he did see Ahsoka in this time frame, I don't think he'd be happy. He'd just still be fucking pissed.
I don't know, because if we remember when that man saw Padme, he was all goo goo for gagas.
Right,
So-
but he was trying to save Padme. Padme was the love of his
But
life. Padme has nothing to
also,
do with the
though-
Order.
But also, though, if we remember, that man still had a soft spot for Ahsoka. So, and we see in Rebels that when he is Darth Vader, he offers to save Ahsoka, to not let her be killed if she hands over information. So we can still say that there is safe to assume.
I mean, that's
There-
kind of being generous, don't you think?
I mean, did you see him giving that shit to Luke in The Empire Strikes Back? He either said, "Join me or die." He didn't give that to Ahsoka. He said, any info you have, we'll let you live.
I mean,
Now, granted, once that man got his mask cut up, and it was time to throw down because
yeah,
he was probably having some.
I won't leave you. Not this time. Then you will die.
I'm saying,
He didn't even hesitate.
Yeah.
Takes a brief pause and is willing to kill her. I understand what you're saying. But to me, at that point, I think he'd actually even be more pissed if he saw Ahsoka, because Ahsoka represents his failure, right? He internalizes that as his failure and the Jedi Order's failure. He'd be even more pissed. So what I think this Anakin is I think this Anakin's point, I don't know how this works. I don't know how the world between worlds worked. I'm not going to act like I know. this Anakin, I think, is going to show events. I think the big event that they're going to have to show is there's two of them that they're obviously going to have to show. One, Ahsoka's going to deal with the guilt of could she have saved him? She's going to look at what if, hypothetically, she was there on Mustafar instead, and you're going to see the same exact thing happen. But I don't know. The only thing I don't know is that what I think would be an interesting twist, and you tell me, what if they did it that if Ahsoka went to Mustafar, Anakin won, Ahsoka dies. That kind of changes everything because it's there's no Vader as we know it. There is Anakin in his full form as Vader. What do you think if they did that twist? If they showed that if Ahsoka actually went, it would have been a lot worse.
I mean, I don't think we'll get anything like major of it. I don't know. I think the twist is going to be that I think I'm between two things. Between it being just, I think that Anakin that I was talking about, where it's, again, I'll call him Lord Vader Anakin, where he's not Darth Vader, but he's Lord Vader. He's still human Anakin.
Right.
Or I think it's just going to be Force Ghost Anakin just manifested in a physical form.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think that's probably more logical.
Yeah, and I think, again, I think it's also just the thing that look, are we really going to sit here and, try and say that this series already hasn't had people overlooking things or overanalyzing Merrick,
right?
Balin, Shin,
Yes.
So I don't know. I think I'm honestly now more leaning to it's just Anakin, just post Return of the Jedi, Anakin just in a physical form.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just like appearing to Ahsoka as what she remembers Anakin last being like.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like that just makes the most sense. I think of anything, the thing I just want to know the most is how did she get there? Did Anakin pull her? Is Cetos maybe a kind of nether realm like Lothal is, where there's a portal?
I'm just gonna go with the fact that she can die.
That too. Yeah. Honestly, though, at this point, like, I buy that too, because I feel like that's at this state or at this rate, I feel like that is just Dave's like go-to answer for all of it. It's just like
she has died. How many times? How many times has she died? She died on Mortis.
She would have died on Mortis. She would have died on Malachor.
Cetos now.
Cetos. Listen, it's because she's got plot armor. Okay?
She got Dave Filoni armor.
She's got plot armor. Look, see, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, anybody who tried to say Rey's got plot armor, this is Star Wars plot armor at its thickest, bro.
Yeah, quite literally, yeah.
She should have died 3 times. She should have died, again, Mortis when the sun killed her, Malachor when Vader would have killed her, and then here she would have fallen to her death.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just going to be this Force Ghost Anakin guiding her through events. Obviously, the fight on Malachor, I think we will definitely see. Mm-hmm. I just think she needs to understand, like, nothing was going to change. He was going to be who he was. Which is going to be so cool to see, man. It's going to be so cool to see her fighting.
What if we hear Battle of the Heroes again, bruh?
But with her, oh my god,
dude. And I think we could. What if we see live action Twilight of the Apprentice, live action Mortis?
Dude, if they do something with Ewan, Hayden, and her, I will throw some. Like, my TV will be smashed. I wouldn't be able to finish the episode.
I legit think I will just fall out of whatever I'm sitting on. My bed.
I would be on my knees. I'd quite literally be on my knees.
I would literally march my way down to Disney headquarters and be like, "Where's Dave Filoni? I owe him a session of the Gawk Gawk 3000 right now because this man can have it all."
I would literally just be on my knees.
Straight up, man. Like, he knows how to wine and dine me to make me feel good because that episode, man, I'm telling you, I don't think I've actually ever like started crying as hard as I have at anything like that before.
I kind of had,
tears.
yeah, like for me, like I was saying, I had to like process myself. I'm like, okay, I just saw that. Now let's just go watch the boys with the, with the boys, quite literally. But
yeah. Literally, it's one of those things that it's like, dude, when you are hearing him talking, because again, it's even worse because like I watch with captions on, and it just says mysterious voice.
right.
And,
but I knew who it was. Everybody knows who the fuck it is. Yeah.
But it was when you see who it is, and he says, "Hey, Snips," and you're just like,
dude,
I
was
now. Like, where like it's like right now, like when literally every leaker's like episode 5. Just wait till episode 5.
Yes,
I
didn't know about this at all.
I literally, dude. Oh my god, it was amazing.
This is also genius marketing for episode 5. Like just to have him at the end.
Just straight, or not even that. Just, I think it's just genius marketing just to confirm he's in the episode. You know he's gonna be there, and we know he's gonna be in there for a lot of
now. I understand why people are upset that they quite literally put him on a poster today.
Yeah, I understand the frustration that technically it was spoiled by Disney themselves, but come on now. You know after that episode ended, you knew.
I think it was the number one trending thing on Twitter.
Yeah,
on one play.
I bet.
Dude, I opened it literally like maybe 4 to like 10 minutes after the episode, and I have some friends. I had some friends that want to watch it, and I'm like, I'm trying. I literally came in the room. I'm like, I don't know what I just watched. I think I've watched the most incredible thing in my life, and they're like, "Is that good? What the fuck are you talking about?" I'm like, dude, I can't say it because I know you guys want to watch it. I can't say it. I can't say it.
Just you wait.
God,
it's incredible, man. I think it's also just an incredible look, Drew. Let's remember, we are all marking out over one man, Hayden Christensen.
Right. Yes.
Who, if we remember, if this was 20 years ago,
oh, don't even. That's generous.
This is fans clamoring for him to go away.
Right. Yeah, he literally lives on a farm now because of that.
But now, literally any time he does any media appearance, if he does any cameo, it is literally the top trending thing on Twitter, top trending thing on every social media.
Yep.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I dog on Star Wars fans a lot, but I'm so happy that Star Wars fans have like unanimously given this man a second chance.
I'm so glad too. It's just, I'm gonna make some more predictions for episode 5 because I'm gonna get out of here in a couple minutes. But I think we'll focus on 2 fronts. Obviously, I think we will meet Thrawn. I think we will get the first introductions to Thrawn, and I think the tease for the end of episode 5. You ready, Ezra?
I'm ready. I mean, I can see it. Oh, I can see it.
Oh my god! Imagine if Ezra and then with the Anakin and Ahsoka stuff, I think Anakin does like I think Ahsoka will get to the new galaxy via the world between worlds, and we'll learn that she was always meant to go there. Which again, and I just hope we get like a little bit. I'm sure we'll get a lot of lore with the world between worlds. Just some more explanation because I'm sure Dave's heard like it's time travel. I'm sure Dave will do his due diligence and explain to obviously the general audience needs to know that it's not time travel. So that's what I think. I'm gonna give episode 4 I don't like giving 10, so I'm not gonna give it a 10. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Not even, bro. Come on now.
I'm gonna give it a 9.
It's another perfect 10.
Dave Filoni.
Another world between worlds weirdo fest. That's what the show is, man.
Um,
That's what it is.
well, we've gone for about an hour with just Ahsoka. I don't think we'll do question of the week this week. I kind of
No.
want to, just get
Save
out of
it.
here.
Save it for next time.
Yeah, we'll do it for next time. All right, guys. Well, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. May the force be with you, and may you stay burdened with glorious purpose. Oh, excuse me. We'll be back next week for episode number 5, and episode 106 of the Wars of the Stars podcast, where we will discuss all things Ahsoka, episode number 5. Until then, peace out, everyone.